Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. And I just did a shorter video a couple of seconds ago that was an anniversary sort of recap for the last 3 years because I am celebrating 3 years of BookTube. And so I sat down to do this one because I want to talk about these books. And all of a sudden this kind of halo sprang up behind me as I'm sitting here. I hadn't changed any of the lighting and I thought, oh, is it a message? No, it was the sunshine coming through, so that's why you can see a bit of the tea towel hanging up, trying to block my halo. I don't think there's anyone in my family that would say, oh, Lorene, yeah, that looks good on you. So I hope you all had a good end of December. I decided not to do anything on the 26th, I guess. That would have been the Tuesday. I just thought, oh, everybody's enjoying their books. Why don't we just sit here and enjoy our own books? And as I'm saying those words, I'm thinking, I don't think any of the books that I received for Christmas are in this pile. Oh well, I can wrap that up for another time. So I had a huge reading couple of weeks, and so this might be a long video. I guess the other one on the book club recommendations was a bit long too, so I won't be making that a practice. I prefer for things to be shorter, but I just kind of blasted out of my chair and just kept, hauling in the books and going, what, next? So will there be thoughtful comments coming your way? Probably not. Okay, I thought that I would start January off with, like a good book. Last year I had I don't remember which one it was, but I had a great book, 5 stars, right out of the gate. It was wonderful. And I thought, okay. Don't set yourself up for disappointment, Lorene. You do that an awful lot. But is there a good book in your stack that might be a 5? Could you do it twice? And I thought, Helen Humphreys. There's 2 books by Helen Humphrey that I haven't read, and so I just based on the cover, grabbed one of the Helen Humphreys, and I had a doctor's appointment today. Look what happened. I had a water bottle. I've destroyed it. I did get a few pages read, so I did start the year with a good book. I'm so upset. And it's hardcover too, so, and it does have a pretty cover, doesn't it? Helen Humphreys. Is that in focus? I don't think it's in focus. Okay, there we go. Machine Without Horses, a novel. And this is kind of interesting. The main character is an author who is with the reader, kind of having a discussion about the process of decisions that are made about writing about a character who is actually is a non-fictional character. So that she's using the non-fictional character within the framework of a fictional writing device. And so it's talking about some of the writerly decisions that get made along the way and around character and so on. And, well, I'm just starting a new novel. And I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of cool. And I will be able to read this book. It's just that some of the pages, it's not the best paper. So you know how papers can swell? And you end up seeing both sides. Oh dear. Okay, that is not an omen, right? That is not an omen. I read a book that I have had on my shelf for about 3 years and didn't finish it. And unfortunately, it's one of those ones where the back is the book. And it's like sometimes you watch those TV or the movie reels in advance, and especially for comedy, and you look at the other person you came with and go, well, I think we've seen the movie. So unfortunately, that holds true for this book. Claudia Heseltine returns to this moment 3. They've just described her coming into a room with 2 letters and a phone ringing. She returns to this moment 3 times in a series of parallel narratives. As the timeline resets, she accepts an invitation to a particular social engagement, and with each choice, her life takes a different path. Mistress, unfulfilled wife, devoted mother. Theodora Benson explores these themes in a thoughtful and experimental novel. Nothing wrong with the structure of the novel. Everything wrong with Claudia Hasseltine, who is a complete boring character in each of those scenarios. And she's not even really taking an active role in it. In each case, she's very, very passive emotionally. And it's more about, what was it written in? It was written in the 30s, I believe. And it was more about just saying yes to a plausible husband. They didn't even seem to do a whole lot. What's the word? You've read those books. You know, they all get dressed up. It's pretty much the same thing night after night every night. You just change the jewelry and the dress, and you go to the same parties, and you just keep mixing and mingling until, you know, you settle on something. And so that's kind of how she lives her life. And that's kind of how those relationships go. And when we got to the third one where she's going to be a devoted mother, I just thought, oh, bleh. I don't know. Life's too short for sentimentality, especially if it's maudlin. And I just, but you know, you can tell I was a little annoyed at that point, was making up my own story. I don't know if it was maudlin. All right, another kind of read was okay, actually. The story was pretty decent. The two characters, pretty run-of-the-mill. You've got a rogue. Obviously, it's in the title. That helps. Not a spoiler. And then you've got someone who's, you know, fairly correct. And so you're going to get the clash of the personalities. Now it turns out that these two main characters have known each other from childhood, so that gives them a certain... the author has permission for them to be more relaxed and more free-flowing with each other. They're not constricted by the societal norms, except that the girl, Lucy, has decided that she doesn't want to have anything to do with this fellow initially because he has been so wanton. He's just been like all over the place. He's been in armies, he's done killing, he's done business affairs that maybe are a bit skulking. He seems to have had numerous affairs, and she says to him at a certain point, "Why would I marry you? You've probably got a sexual disease." I'm thinking, yeah, honey, why don't you just go to the next dance? You know, they're doing polkas in the other room. No, she sticks with it, and I keep coming back, no matter how far and plausible the story continued to be, like it actually does make sense in terms of it's not an implausible story. What's implausible to me is that she never addresses his sexual diseases again. And I'm thinking, look under the covers. So, I don't know. I just couldn't get past that. So for me, it was just a halfway okay read. Reputation, A Lady is Nothing Without One by Lex Croucher. It's a cute little book. It's also not going to get high marks from me. I think it's part of a series, or she's written an awful lot. Georgiana falls in with another woman called Frances and her friends, some of male, some female, and they're just this new friend group is the local high society with too much money and not too many brains between all of them. They do a lot of drinking. And despite this being a Regency era novel, there seems to be a fair amount of recreational drugs involved. And then the guys are egging the girls on in terms of how much to drink. There doesn't seem to be any... everybody seems to, you know, sleep in their own bedrooms. Except that one of the girls is pushed things a little too far given the wrong messaging for that time and has been raped. And this isn't even really a big part of the story. It just turns that particular character into losing her way even more. And so Georgiana has to come to terms with being sort of the sensible one in the group, sort of the designated driver, except at certain times she goes into the same behavior, but she sees the consequences of her behavior and, you know, learns from her mistakes as it is. okay, maybe a little bit different because of the amount of frivolous behavior that's allowed compared to other Regency novels, and how much freedom some of the other characters have. Their parents are not that much in attendance. They're rich and left on their own. It's slightly off the beaten track, but yeah, can't get past some things. All right, this is the conclusion, 2 books of a series that I really enjoyed by Naomi Novik. And the first one, what's the first one? I've got them in wrong order. A Deadly Education is number 1, which I believe I talked about last month. And then I called up my local bookstore and said, please, please, please get me the other 2. So I've got The Golden Enclaves. That is book number 3. And way back over there. No, go the other way. There we go. Oh, right there. Oh, no, how isn't that funny? There. That's the Last Graduate. Okay, so it's a school, and can't tell you a ton because we don't want to wreck the storylines for you. It's a school where the kids have to go in and they have to figure out how to survive against curses and hexes and these creatures that are called Mal, M-A-L, and they are going to suck the magic and you right up. And so people live in enclaves, which is the theme of one of the books, once the kids have graduated. So you have to be part of the school system and not get killed in order to graduate. And even the graduation ceremony, which a lot of the books are preoccupied with, can be a death moment. And then once you're finished, you go back. If you survive, you go back to your hometown, or you have been recruited by a city or enclave that is more powerful and can give you more security. So your parents are like, yeah, if you can get to New York, great, get to New York, because it'll be better for everybody. If you've got more security, we have more security. So there's sort of an evil foot a plot that doesn't really manifest itself for initially. It takes a while for that to come up. And we've got the same characters throughout. Luckily, nobody dies off. That's kind of good, because as you get attached to them, I don't know, I don't really like a hero or a heroine I've never known, to disappear mid storyline. So I don't know how many people are going to like this. There's lots of action, but you are in Elle's head a lot. She thinks, okay, if this is going to happen, then that's going to be the repercussion. But if that's the repercussion, then that person might do that. And then she does the whole thinking thing again in a different kind of a scenario. So because she's continually talking about catastrophizing and situations, it seems like you're in an adventure, because you can, okay, now if that's going to drop down and trap's going to open, and you feel like you're in a bit of an adventure. But then after 10 or 15 pages, you think, oh, we're still in the same chair. So you've got to like being in someone's head. You have to like psychology, tension, strategy to a large degree. And in the third book, the conclusion, I felt that it was under... again, you're in Elle's head for so much that the surrounding world you don't get a full grip on. So the trouble that is happening in the third one comes from an external factor, and that piece I didn't feel was well integrated into the final book. It has a logical conclusion, and I really enjoyed it, but just that it was because it was the right book for the right moment. And I do think, despite the crazy adventures and the life-threatening guts all over the place kind of action, I think it's one to get from the library. Don't buy it. But I liked it, so I bought it. Okay, this is book 2 in a different series. It's the Cazalet Chronicles, Volume 2, and the title is Marking Time. Elizabeth Jane Howard is the author. And this is taking place just before World War One, and then maybe the first 18 months or so. And we're seeing the same two to four kids, depending on the chapter, their points of view, and every once in a while an adult's point of view comes through. And we're going through about 16-month period, and each cousin is taking a section, July and August, or September to December, and writing from their point of view. And partway through this, I thought, boy, she does boredom really well, because a lot of the kids are bored. They're at that teen stage, 15, 16, and even at 16, they're still not being treated as an adult. They've got this idea in their head that, okay, I'm 16, I'm an adult, come on, let's roll. And the adults around them are still like, no, you're going to go sit with the kids. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are, and then you do. So some of these teenagers are fairly bored and in a rut. And as I was reading one or two of them, I thought, why am I enjoying her boredom so much? But I was. Yeah. So what are we talking? There's Louise and there's Clary. Louise wants to be an actress. Clary wants to be a writer. There's one of the dads is missing over in France, and the family owns sort of a wood importing company, and so they've got a lot of timbers that are used for shipbuilding, and so they are under siege because of the bombing. There's the women, the older women, the moms are having their midlife crises. There's some menopause situations coming in. There's some midlife crises on the dad's parts, different kinds of iterations on that. It's okay. I mean, I enjoy it. It's thick. So this, to me, is a really good book. I read it over the Christmas. I saved it for Christmas. It's a really good book where you've got a dedicated week that you can troll in and out of, and then have something else to bounce off against, something like a murder mystery that trots along at a different pace. So I think this is a really good vacation book, a really good one where you just want to hunker down for a weekend or something. I think this is a really good option. Now there are 3 more and in the series, and I'll probably get the third one. We're supposed to be traveling in the spring, so I think I'm going to take it along with me for that trip. Okay, Accidental Medium. It was okay. No, that was a 2. It was recommended by somebody else, and it's about a lady who finally figures out that she can see ghosts, and she thought there were voices in her head all along, and then something fairly innocuous happens, and she can all of a sudden see all these ghosts and speak to them, and she becomes like a prophet, if you like, because like someone will be standing across from her, and they have a ghost behind them, and she can hear the ghost's message to that person. So it seems like she's telling the future, but really it's the ghost who's telling the future. All she's doing is being the telephone. I thought it would be more fun than it is. It was okay. Tracy Whitwell, and has she written others? There's a bit of a mystery in this book as well. So it's not just a ghost story. And I'm not seeing anything. I don't know, maybe it's her first book. A.S. King, Still Life with Tornado. I put this off for a while because in my life we were having a young person with some mental health problems, and it distracted me. I wasn't giving the book the full courtesy. So we have got here, Sarah has several different personalities. They're all Sarah's, and they're all of herself, but at different ages. And so she's got a young Sarah and a 20-ish year old Sarah, a middle-aged Sarah, and they all part of her day-to-day. And she is 16 years old at the time of the story it's taking place. She's had a bad situation happen in the school, and her parents should have divorced before she was born. Just, once they just realized that the second baby wasn't going to do it, and at that point they should have just made the divorce and gone on with it. But they thought, oh, for the sake of the baby, we'll stay together. So they created quite a home life. So Sarah's traumatized with those two things, as well as just kind of long-term anxiety about something that happened to her brother that she witnessed, and I would have to say that her trauma was fairly well portrayed. The reason for the trauma was not a surprise to me, but her reaction to it was kind of, to me, a little bit unbelievable. But on the other hand, I was just so glad to know that an author could write a book without having the sibling, die a horrible death in a tornado. So this is a metaphor for her mind. And it's actually not even her own metaphor. Her friend drew it. So did it win the award? It was an honor book. Michael L. Prince honor book, and the Los Angeles Times Book Prize winner. I can see it. I think that, but A.S. King is such a good author. I'm just going to say it's not the best of what I've read. And I think even though I waited to give it the right time, I just, because we'd been through a fairly intense situation, I thought, wow. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. And then I have to keep remembering it is bad. For that person, it is bad. I'm judging. Be quiet. So, yeah, I think it's a good book. It's better than I gave it credit for. Anybody here seen Frenchie? This is a middle grade book, and Leslie Connor, she's also written The Truth as Told by Mason Buttle, and I really enjoyed it. Frenchie is an on-spectrum for neurodivergency, and in this book is called Autistic. Sorry about the glare. And they live in a fairly small community. He knows the backwoods pretty well, and something happens that catches his attention, and he goes missing. And so the school and the parents and the community gradually are building in terms of anxiety around finding Frenchie, and Frenchie is he's not able to recognize that he's causing anxiety for other people, but he is having just a really, really gifted moment, what he's experiencing while he's not being found. So this is about community. It's also about seeing someone beyond their neurodiversity or anything else physical, what have you, is that you see beyond that exterior and you see into the person, because people started to think about Frenchie a little more carefully as a human. So that was fun. I enjoyed that one. And the one that I picked up for myself for Christmas, that I thought there was one in here. This is The Ghosts of Rose Hill, and it's done in verse. And it's a Jewish story. It's a story about a Jewish cemetery, and a Jewish girl goes back to Austria to visit with relatives and meets a ghost, and then another, and then things start to really be revealed. If seeing a couple of ghosts isn't shocking enough, no, wait, there's more. I loved it. It came under my stocking, and I said to Steve, wow, I wonder where you got that. I don't think I've ever seen that. And he said, you bought it for yourself. I did not. I've never seen it. He goes, yeah, you bought it for yourself. And I did. And I had never seen it. I just saw The Ghost of Rose Hill. And because I bought ghost books for everybody else for Christmas, I thought, I need one too. So I picked it up. I didn't even read the back. I had no notion that it was written in verse. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's quite a different take on cemeteries and ghosts and evil entities that can manipulate ghosts, and where your power lay in confronting an evil entity. And so the young girl seems to be pretty unempowered because her parents don't want her to continue with her music passion, and so they've sent her to Austria to like get her head together. But she does, just, yeah, what were mom and dad thinking? So I'm going to end on this book. It was a really good one, and I have all these still to read. That's the rest. Well, let's see, it goes down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books to read for December. And back in there are my January stuff. So yeah, I got some sorting to do. Well, thank you for joining me on this rather long one, and I hope you found something in there that interests you. And if not, I hope you're just having a real good reading time out there, despite any of my suggestions. So take care of yourself. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures come true. Bye-bye for now.